You're listening to the Complex Action Actual Play podcast. On this, our first episode, we get an introduction to the team members as they are pulled together and offered their first job by an up-and-coming lawyer in town. Welcome to Columbia, everyone. A quick announcement or two before the episode kicks off. Due to the huge amount of NPCs that I've gotten from patrons, I was a little bit confused about one or two of them during this recording. In particular, I made a big mistake about forgetting who Scorch, one of Payday's contacts, is. She's supposed to be a sort of southern belle sounding female. I portrayed her as a scruffy male at first, just off the cuff. I'll correct that in future episodes. Sorry, Elric Damage. Something I want to do at the end of each episode also is to do a quick shout out to the NPCs that were submitted by patrons and organizations. Just a shout out to all the submissions I get and a shout out to the patrons who submitted them. So stay tuned at the end of each episode to hear that. Also, while we're talking about NPCs, I want to make sure that people know that these characters that you've submitted will most definitely be recurring, and many of them will become more fleshed out and dynamic as the story continues and unfolds. So keep listening. Don't think that I am just dropping them in out of obligation and then running. They're going to be probably most, if not all of them, recurring characters that are just going to be great parts of the series. So now, without any further ado, here is episode 1 of the Complex Action Actual Play. Welcome to Columbia. So, welcome to Columbia, South Carolina. It is August, the middle of August, August 18th, in the hot and balmy state of South Carolina. Columbia is known as the famously hot city. It was once its nickname even. So gives you an idea of maybe how it feels there. You walk outside anytime this time of the year and you're just going to be smacked in the face by how sweaty you're going to become. It can be hard to breathe sometimes. It's about, sitting around in the hundreds at this time of the year and 100 degrees Fahrenheit and during the day. And if you were to walk around town normally summertime, you'd expect people to be outside, but not in Columbia. Everybody kind of spends the daytime inside during this time of the year because it's too hot. If you were to walk around and see people walking around, it's very monochromatic, so to speak, in Columbia. Everybody's in the bigger business part of towns, just all humans, except for in the crappy part of towns. That's when you start to see more meta-humanity pop up. Because, as we know, Columbia is kind of a bastion for racism and whatnot. Southern hospitality has not been lost, though, in Columbia, and that is aplenty. Despite how uncomfortable things are in the weather and socially, everybody does their best to be through their teeth as polite as possible. Except if you're not human, of course. So you guys are out doing your thing again. August is the peak heat of the year, so it's going to get cool from here on out. But I'm going to go around and see get you guys to introduce your characters. Tell me a little, describe your characters to each other, and maybe tell me what your character's been doing, is doing right now, and maybe been doing the past week or two to set the stage. Why don't we start with Payday?
All right. Should I start with a description, or should I start with what I was doing?
It's up to you.
All right. Well, Payday is a dwarf, and he is he has a mix of Caucasian and Aslan descent. Black hair, kind of sunken eyes, very rugged and kind of worn out looking individual. He is always accompanied by, in AR, an agent program named Eon. who is Personifix in encoding, so she seems very lifelike most of the time, except of course there's the uncanny valley in the fact that she really has no control over her own actions. Truly, just pretends really. And as we begin, Payday and Eon are getting back in his GMC Phoenix after he was standing vigil at his wife's funeral, where he stood apart from the rest of her friends and family, and was the recipient of some accusatory stares and some cold shouldering.
Oh yeah, okay. That's a somber beginning.
Yeah. So as he speeds off in his Phoenix and essentially leaves that portion of his life and humanity behind.
So if Payday were to get somebody trying to contact him about work, who would that go through?
Probably through Scorch, I'd imagine.
And Scorch is his drone dude, right?
Yeah, Scorch is a drone broker, and I believe likes to deal in other in information and such. Just as an additional note, he also has a contact in the Marauders, which are the Diamondback motorcycle club.
All right. Well, right after the funeral kind of events are over, and you're kind of making your somber way out to, as you said, ride off into the sunset, or so to speak. You get a call on your comm, and it's Scorch, who says, "Hey pal, got somebody who's looking to put a couple of people together to get a job done."
Excellent. I need money. I'm having.
That's
really
what I figured,
day.
man. You told me that you were while you were in town, you're gonna be needing some work. So got the call, and you were the first person I thought of.
The distraction will be nice. Where do I go?
He's this guy. He's a lawyer type. His name is Shields. Shields Law Firm. It's down over in the West Columbia part of town, over the river from downtown, and he gives you an address to his law firm.
When?
It's gonna be tonight after business hours, 6:00 p.m.
I've got it then. I'll be there.
All right, thanks. And out of character, how close are you with Scorch?
He is actually at loyalty 3 with Scorch.
So would he know about the funeral today?
She, remember.
Oh, right. Sorry. Would she know about the funeral today?
Eric DeMage will lynch you.
Ah.
I would say yeah. I mean, she would know why he's back in town. I think so.
All right, and pretend everything I said was not in a scruff male voice. So she says right before she hangs up off the phone, or off the call, she says, "Hey, you had that thing today. I remember. You doing all right?"
We're doing fine.
All right, just take it easy, okay?
You got it. You know me, taking it easy.
And she hangs up. So right now it's probably a little after noon, so you got some time to do whatever it is that you're gonna do. But
BTLs, lots of BTLs.
All right, getting down to business, or getting ready for business. How about that? How about Leroy? Why don't we hear a little bit about Leroy and what he's been doing?
The camera's going to kind of pull in on a small garage where you will hear the sounds of wrenches turning and things banging against other things, and the occasional swear word. Inside, you will find Killswitch, who I don't actually have the physical description of. If I do, I don't have it in front of it, so we'll fix it in post. And a 6'4". Well, he doesn't have the pointy ears, but he's got that kind of like elven angling to his face and the general build. He's wearing just a simple tank top and a pair of jeans, big old riding boots, and is kind of assisting, with air quotes, another man that is attempting to fix his motorcycle.
That being Killswitch?
Yes, whose description I don't think I actually have.
Oh well, that's all right. We'll get that later. But Killswitch is working on your bike, I guess. And Who would I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked of Payday. Who would be the person that would get in touch with you about work?
Potentially his guy from the motorcycle club, if it is something in there. Killswitch may have also just, have the in on this as well, given as he does some stuff with guns and
Right.
mechanics and armory stuff. So he might have while I got you here.
Yeah, I get that. So I think that's exactly what happens. Is Killswitch is working on the bike, and he's making general chit chat, and he says, "Hey, Leroy, not too long ago you were saying you were looking for some work, weren't you?"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I heard some news about some work that was coming down. A friend of mine said to keep my ear to the ground for someone, some muscle like your type, and looks like some lawyer across the river, West Columbia lawyer, kind of sleazy guy, but he's looking for some people to do something for him, kind of short term, like quick notice. I think hold on, let me check if you're interested. I got an address and a time here.
Leroy will look around at the half a case of soy Weiser on the ground that they've been splitting, and just kind of like, all right,
Yeah,
too tough.
Yeah, here it is. It's a Shields law firm over there in West Columbia, and here tonight at 6, I guess. I'll shoot you the info, and he like throws it over to you in some kind of like augmented reality note.
Yeah, Leroy will kind of look around. I guess we should put this guy back together then, shouldn't we?
Hey, I'd be happy to keep him here if you got some other way to get around town. But he chuckles and says, "No, we probably should put this back together."
Cracks another soy Weiser and gets to it.
Toss me one of those.
Does so.
All right. And what does Leroy do normally? Just kind of more of the same, just lazing around, drinking soy Weiser?
So it'll probably be whatever state of putting the bike back together. And then given as it's a ridiculously high temperature outside, and they are probably sweaty and dirty and gross, well,
oh, yeah.
It's a lawyer's office. And Mama always said you got to look good for like 3 people in your life: your lawyer, your priest, and your undertaker.
All right. Well then, so how about Haley? What's Haley up to?
Well, Haley is still a little young, so she is hanging out at the quad, trying to keep an eye on everything that's going on, because while it's ridiculously hot outside, it is also still a gathering place for everybody, so she's trying to see what everybody's up to. She's kind of wandering around and just kind of looking at the AR.
Yeah, well, as you're moving through around the university, in the horseshoe and whatnot area, and all the living buildings around there, people wave to you, and they've seen you around, and they wave to you. She, from what I understand, Haley's a pretty somewhat precocious woman, right?
Yes, she likes to know what's going on. She's generally helpful. She's not too suspicious of humanity at this point, despite her coming to the horseshoe beaten up and battered.
Yeah, well, as you're walking by one of the stalls that you've been by before, that you frequent, that sells like little snacks and everything on the horseshoe, you get in one of those. Guy says, "Hey, Haley, Rudolph came around here not too long ago, was asking about you."
Oh yeah? What's he need?
He said he just needed to talk to you, I guess.
Okay. Well, I'll go find him.
All right. Hey, I got some of those apples in the special order kind of apples.
Thanks. What do I
Yeah.
need for him?
Oh, you know what? You can have this one for free. This is the first one I was able to get in, and I know how much you've been looking forward to one of these, but I can't, these things are not cheap, so I can't hand them out like this all the time.
I understand. I should take one and take a huge bite out of it.
All right, so you headed over to, he would have told you that Rudolph was looking for you at his house, not at his office, which you spent time around there. It's not unusual for him to ask for you to come see him at his house, but that it's unusual for him to ask people to come see him at his house.
Understand. So I will head over to his house. Since I've been there before, I would probably just open up the door and call out, Rudolph, I'm here.
All right. You get met at the door by his sort of like housekeeper servant guy whose name off the top of my head I can't remember right now, but he says Haley, hey, how's it going? Rudolph, he's upstairs a minute. You wanna he said you might be coming by. You want to sit down here and I'll let him know you're here?
Yeah, no problem.
And he rushes off.
Go over to one of the windows where I can look outside and see the happenings of the horseshoe. Just keeping an eye on everybody and being nosy.
Yeah, it's actually pretty slow in the middle of the afternoon right now. I mean, mostly because of the heat.
There's always something going on somewhere. And if she watches, she just might find it.
Well, after a while, Rudolph comes down and says, Haley, it's good. I'm glad you came by.
What'd you need?
Why don't you sit down? And then he sits, there's like a sort of nice coffee table and a couch that on either long side of it. And he sits there and gestures for you to sit across from him.
Okay. She gets a little nervous because, he's not acting like his normal self. So she sits down.
He says, Haley, so I didn't, you've talked about how you've wanted to be able to start taking care of yourself.
Yes.
Well, I was reluctant to maybe get you into this kind of work. But I do know someone who is a pretty sensible person who seems to be in need of work from somebody like you, and would like to.
She's kind of starting to tilt her head at him because she's not quite sure what he's talking about. There's lots of different work that people can think about.
He doesn't seem nervous as he's talking to you, but he does seem like, he's uncomfortable. He doesn't want to, almost like a parent who's having like, one of those talks with their kids that they know they have to have, but they don't really want to be having it. And he says it's just a little bit of an errand, some contract work that he needs help with. That he needs some people to assist him with that he doesn't have time to handle himself. And I know you're looking for some work and some extra money.
Yeah.
So his name is Shields, Justice Shields. He's a lawyer, and he's across the river in West Columbia. And I'll give you his address, and he needs you to meet him there. And there's going to be a couple of other people at this meeting, maybe some anyway, just a couple of other people, and meet him there at 6 p.m. tonight.
Okay, I can do that.
All right. Well, be careful, and thanks for coming by. Is there anything you need?
No, I had an apple.
Oh, wow. All right. Is there going to be, again, there's several hours before then. Is there anything in particular that Haley's going to be up to before that?
She will probably go to her room at the Horseshoe and try to be as professional looking as possible. She knows when he says that there's an errand that she could possibly need to do like some moving and running. So she's going to try to put the best foot that she can so that Rudolph will be proud of her.
All right. And let's go with Elric. What's Elric up to, and give us a quick reminder of who Elric is.
Sure. Elric's had a busy morning. He's a human, mid-20s, but he looks younger probably because he's very short, like maybe 5 feet, the good part of the day. He's got kind of long blonde hair that he usually kind of ties back in a hasty ponytail. And his overall kind of demeanor and the gear that he has looks a bit shabby. He has been kind of living below the means he's used to for some time now, since coming back to Columbia, and it's starting to show wear on his clothing. But he does have these kind of cool steampunk-looking goggles that he usually wears like a necklace or up on his head when he's not wearing them over his face. And he's always carrying around this bag of stuff with various different odds and ends, some being gizmos or various parts. And this morning, I took the liberty of pre-rolling, doing some summoning and alchemy stuff, if that's okay with you.
That's just fine.
All right, nothing too crazy. He summoned a 4/6 Earth Elemental, got 2 services, and he's got a couple of preparations, one for increased reflexes, one for increased strength.
All right, cool.
So this morning he's started out with a couple of lampshades, some medical braces, and some various other odds and ends and straps and things. And I've been using my artisan skill to work on kind of putting something together because I'm going to be going out into the harsh sunlight. When I'm done, I have this thing that kind of straps onto my head, and there's a wire framework that goes above, and one of the lampshades has been spread out to cover more like an umbrella above my head. And then there's another part that goes above where the other lampshade's been sort of broken up into several different sections, and it's on this thing that turns whenever I sort of reach up and, pat it with my hand.
I love it.
So, wearing this contraption, Elric has decided to wander out in some of the rougher parts of town, because less people are likely to be out and about, to see if he can't find any reagents.
All right.
Please do some alchemical gathering. In case it matters, I got 6 hits on my artisan test to make my umbrella hat fan contraption.
Does this fan contraption have any explicit purpose other than fashion and warding off the sun?
Basically, it's just for shade and
right.
keep the heat off a little bit.
Does a pretty good job, and it looks great to boot.
So I'm essentially poking around dumpsters and things, seeing if I can wander into junkyards here and there, looking for various odds and ends that might kind of, as I'm astrally perceiving, that might have some sort of significance attached to them that I can use them as magical reagents.
Do you want to roll for that?
Sure. I don't have those rules up though.
I'm looking for them too. I was hoping that you would have it so that I wouldn't have to look it up.
For gathering
I
reagents.
figured I'd get interrupted before I got the chance to actually find something.
It's your alchemy test, and every 2 net hits is 1 dram.
There you go.
Okay, well, I'm pretty good at alchemy.
2 net hits. This isn't an opposed test, is it? It's just a success
Nope,
test.
It just takes him a gather per roll, or an hour per roll of searching.
All right. So go ahead and roll for it. We could say that you've been out and looking for as long as you wanted to this morning.
I probably got a bit of a late start because I had to take a nap after making one of the alchemical creations.
Sure.
So
you will have gotten a phone call at about 2 p.m. So just use that as your baseline.
All right. Well, maybe I got 2 hours in.
All right. Well, roll it. Let me know how many reagents you got.
Both times I got 6 hits each. So that'd be 3 reagents apiece.
There you go. 6 drams or 6 reagents, really. All right. Well, as you're, trying to avoid baking in the sun, and it's getting pretty hot out there. You're pretty sweaty, probably ready to call it. And you get a phone call. You happen to know Rudolph as well, correct?
Oh yes, Loyalty 3. We've gotten to know each other pretty well. I've actually put up a lot of wards where he's wanted them in this turf.
Say that again about wards.
I've set up wards for him if he's wanted them.
Oh right, okay.
For astral security anywhere.
Yeah, he would have definitely occasionally asked you for help with that. All right, well, you get a comm call from Rudolph. He says, "Hey, Elric."
Oh, Rudolph. Hey, how are you doing?
Doing better than you from the looks of it.
Oh, I'm fine. Just out in the sun,
Yeah, it's a heck of a day for it.
Right. Well, what's going on? You need a hand with something?
I happen to know someone who's looking for some kind of contract help, and they're in need of filling a role that you might well fit. If you're interested in some extra money.
Wow. That was a whole awful lot of corpse speak there, Rudolph.
let me put it this way. A buddy of mine is looking to put together a team of people to handle some business that he'd rather not handle himself. You get my drift?
I guess. Sounds like something I might be able to help out with, depending on what it is.
Well, I'll let him give you the details, as he didn't really give me a lot of details. But he wants to meet you, and he's got a couple of other people meeting him there. Well, anyway, it's at 6 p.m. tonight, and I can send you over the address. It's just across the river.
Sure, I'll be there.
All right, and you get a message from him.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, don't stay too long out there. It's pretty hot day today's a pretty hot day.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna swing back to the nuts. What is it called again? The courtyard area.
It's the whole area is called the university, but the bazaar, the marketplace in his area is called the Horseshoe.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna head back to the Horseshoe. See if Jocelyn's brought any of those popsicles to sell again.
Oh yeah,
they sold out by 4 o'clock yesterday.
Yeah, you better hurry up. All right, and then finally, Pillar. What's Pillar up to?
Pillar just got done with her meeting with her parole officer, the live meeting, so she's probably coming from that office.
Would they have had their meeting at the Lone Star offices?
It's probably so. That's where she's located.
Yeah, Lone Star offices. There's some downtown. It's a good long walk in this heat, but so I don't know if she drove there on anything or not.
Nah, I'll have to hop a bus back to the Horseshoe.
Yeah, he'll be waiting a little while, and the bus in this part of town isn't the most friendly place for orcs, but
it's pretty normal.
Yeah, so you get on the bus, and you get some ugly looks from a bunch of humans on there. Even though you're pretty well dressed, right? Why don't you give us a description of Pillar, actually?
Oh yeah, Pillar's wearing a fine suit of Synergist Business Line. It's looking good. It's a nice blue color. Got a little bit of a tie because I'm coming from a parole officer. And Pillar is dark skin, sort of long, shoulder-length dreadlocks, big orc teeth, a little manly looking.
Yep. And you're feeling pretty good about yourself after your parole officer meeting. It went well.
I'm quite charming. Very skilled at diplomacy.
Do you want to tell everyone why it is that she was in prison or not?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't want to bring that back up. The family's not happy about it.
All right. Well, while you're on the bus drops you off about a block away from where were you headed? Back to the...
Probably just back to the Horseshoe, see if I can find my brother. Maybe talk to Borker, the street Sam I know there.
Sure, yeah. So when you get off the bus, it's about a block south of the Horseshoe where you get dropped off, and you happen to come across your brother, who's nice and sweaty and hot, and he's making his, as quick as he can way back to the Horseshoe.
Not to mention wearing a stylish umbrella fan hat.
Yeah, I'm not gonna per se acknowledge him or say hello. I'm just gonna kind of follow him and not sneaking per se, but just acting like I'm not there.
All right, kind of like don't feel like talking right now.
I mean, I feel like talking to him, but I kind of like to just kind of pick on him a little bit. So I'm just gonna follow just a few steps behind and just see where he's going.
Well, if I remember correctly, he's headed to what was her name with the popsicles?
Jocelyn.
He's headed to Jocelyn's stand, and when Elric gets there, Elric, as suspected, Jocelyn says, "Well, if you had been here 2 days in a row, Elric, if you'd been here earlier before the heat of the day, I might have had some. But these things sell out quick and on days like this."
I know.
Oh,
I thought for sure. I had at least an hour.
Just slide in there and be like, oh, come on, you gotta have one more for my little brother here.
Well, I'm telling you, it's real hot. These things. She kind of, when Pillar kind of slides up and puts on the charm, she says, "All right, well, I do have some. I normally save a little bit of a batch for Rudolph and his people when they get off work, but I never know what kind of meetings they're going to be having in there, and so I keep a little bit of extra. So I got one here. I'm doing it. You're late all the time, Elric. So I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this for your sister."
Oh,
No, I couldn't take it from one of Rudolph's guys.
Hey, like I said, I keep extra. It'd be skin off my back, not yours. So here, why don't you just take it? Just take it. Just don't be late again.
Thank you, I say as I look kind of dubiously between the two, Jocelyn and Pillar.
Pillar just winks at him.
Hey, Pillar, how'd the thing go?
You can call me Danny, right?
Oh, Danny, okay, sorry. Hey, Danny, how'd the thing go?
It's all right, darling. The business as usual.
Yeah, well, you sure you don't want the popsicle? I've been kept pretty cool wearing my, well, I'm not quite sure what to call it, umbrella fan hat thing. I reach up and give a little tap to the fan part of it and starts rotating.
Yeah.
Kind of squeaking a little bit.
It's good. You make that this morning?
Just one of my recent ideas.
Yeah, no, it looks great.
I got sunburned pretty bad a couple days ago when I didn't have any shade. You want me to make one for you?
Yeah. Make me one, definitely. I'll wear it.
You're so full of drac, Danny.
Get a little color on those cheeks, you wouldn't have that problem.
Say, I got a weird call from Rudolph earlier today. As I sort of kind of start walking away from the that stand to find someplace a little bit more private.
You Pillar actually, as she was coming up to the horseshoe, got just a comm message from Rudolph as well, because she's acquainted, right?
Yeah.
I figure she would be acquainted, having hung around the horseshoe.
Probably so. Yeah, I will. If I got that, I'll just look at my sensei and then tap the button and show it and do it like this.
Yeah, it's not like the other stuff I've done for him, like setting up wards or doing some healing. I think this is some other kind of job thing.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
It would be very obvious to Pillar, who's familiar, at least somewhat familiar with this kind of stuff. The language, it would be very obvious to you that it is shadowrunning work.
Yeah, it's
Anyway.
fine. Just a normal job like anything else. You got this.
It seems kind of sketchy, but it is Rudolph, so.
Nah, it'll be legit. Don't worry about it.
Well, I'm glad you're coming along. I can watch your back.
Yeah. Let's go see what they want.
All right. So, anybody doing anything between now and 6, or are we gonna jump onto that?
I say jump.
Jump.
I'm jumping.
All right. Well, you guys all make your way there in your own ways. 6 o'clock. This time of year, the sun's still pretty high. It's pretty bright outside. It's still pretty darn hot. It's starting to get cool though. It's maybe low 90s by now. But you head over to the area in West Columbia that the office is. It's it's on State Street and Spring Street. If anybody ever goes to look on a map, it's on a corner there, and it's an older building that's been around for quite a long time. It's painted, it's painted brick, and it's kind of like an ugly, dull pinkish paint color, and it's like a generic storefront that's probably been a bunch of different things in its lifetime, and just currently happens to be a law office. And on the door, it says, Justice Shields, Attorney at Law, and you're probably, it's obviously a name that he made up himself as a lawyer.
To sound cool.
Yeah. But once you go inside, it's a fine enough looking small kind of area, and you go in, and there's the telltale ding, bell ringing noise of any place like that, and there's a receptionist at the front who's getting ready to leave. Looks like she's been waiting for whoever it is that's supposed to to meet him tonight after these hours when she should have already been home, and she was just waiting for these people to show up so that she can tell them to sit down and wait, and so she can leave.
Pillar will walk up to her and give her a smile.
She says, "Are you the people who are coming to meet Mr. Shields?"
Oh, that we are, darling.
You're not looking... Okay, good. He's in his office right now. I'm going to ring him real fast while I'm out the door, and don't steal anything, because I'm late for a date.
Not a problem. And then Pillar will take a quick, sideway glance if there's anything useful to steal.
She comes out of a door that she locks behind her, but it's like a receptionist area that's got like one of the little windows and a speaker, and it's bulletproof glass and everything, and she locks a door behind her, and it's just, unless you wanted to steal some magazines well, there wouldn't be magazines, but unless you wanted to steal like a plastic potted plant, then probably not.
I'll consider it, but I'll let it go this time.
All right, she leaves, and almost everybody kind of slowly makes their way in, and you guys probably have about a couple minutes while you're sitting there if you care to,
Elric.
Hey, Elric.
Elric smiles. Oh, Haley, you're here too? He's not wearing the umbrella hat fan contraption, by the way. He's also managed to get a shower in recently, so he's actually looking kind of presentable.
Yeah, Rudolph, he told me to come over here, and there was an errand to run, and yeah, that's all I know.
You don't know any more about this either?
Well, no, and she'll drop her voice down to try to be quiet. She's not very successful. In these type of things, you're not supposed to know much.
He just kind of gives her a flat stare. Chuckles a little bit. Right. Still, keep your ears open. We're not supposed to let them know that we know, but we're supposed to know, right? Because we need to know as much as we can to survive.
Oh, good point. Good point.
At that point, the sketchiest man in the room will arrive, wearing a heavy, very out of place leather jacket, especially in this heat. Looking rather worn out with a crooked smile, the kind of smile that doesn't look like it ought to be on a man's face, almost like it's forced. And offsetting that image is anybody who'd see an AR, a rather feminine looking lady walking behind him, and he pretty much comes in, looks at everybody for just the briefest moment, takes a seat and rubs his hands together kind of anxiously.
Haley will wave at the woman.
She smiles and waves back a little bit before taking her place at Payday's side.
I see Haley wave at apparently nothing. I'll shift to astral perception and just get a quick sensing of the room and the people I don't know, and then try putting my goggles on to see an AR.
Roll a sensing for me.
The tall, probably older man sitting in the corner, you can tell his aura is flaring with the sign of irritation and moderate annoyance as the conversation of the people who have potentially never done an illegal thing in their life continues.
And 5 hits on my astral sensing test.
All right, well, with 5 hits, there's an elf in the room, and he seems slightly annoyed. And there's the dwarf that just came in. He seems, correct me if I'm wrong, Payday, but probably a little bit, focused, kind of trying to focus, difficult, but also somber.
He would probably be actually probably a lot of emotional turmoil, because he himself is really, really deeply upset, but the BTLs are forcing his mood up, and yeah.
The room in general, while certainly no background count or anything, but the room in general has a kind of negative feeling, kind of like despair and hopelessness.
Okay, yeah, I give it a little bit of a sigh as I shift my perception back to the physical and put my goggles on. See what Haley was waving at.
And that's when you see the female AR projection next to the dwarf.
Oh, interesting. I wonder what that is.
Well, after you guys have been sitting there for just a minute, enough to kind of size each other up, out of the door comes a man who's in kind of a very light gray suit with a darker gray tie. He comes out. He's well dressed. It looks like he's well dressed, but it's not like a high quality suit at all. He comes out kind of quickly, and he's kind of like back and forth on his feet, and he says, hey, welcome. You guys are the help I'm looking for, I take it.
Yes, we are.
Well, why don't you come on back to my office and we'll talk. I got plenty of room to sit down there.
As I'm walking, I actually sort of thumbing the keys buttons on my comlink to text to Pillar or to Danny. Just make sure you don't punch him, please.
I'm not gonna fit. Yeah.
Well, as you guys come in and sit down, he looks very excited, kind of maybe a little bit nervous. He's sweating, but you can't maybe tell if that's because he's nervous or if it's just, it's hot. But he says, hello, everybody. He takes out his hand and kind of passes it around, waiting for somebody to shake it.
I'll shake it.
Killer.
All right, Leroy shakes it. Yeah. Leroy, he shakes your hand pretty hard, and he says, hey, name's Justice Shields, attorney at law. I practice, just in case you guys need it, I practice all kinds of law. I practice criminal law. I practice tax law. I practice civil law. I practice all the laws. So, I don't even know the names of all the laws that I practice, but if you need law help, I'll help you. So you just call me anytime, except on Sundays, because I'll be in church. You know what I'm saying?
He is not quite desperately trying to extract his hand from I'm sure, this ongoing handshake.
So he lets go, and he says, so have a seat, everybody. Have a seat. And everybody's probably already seated when he says that.
Yeah.
Indeed. Yep.
I'm
And
just
he,
looking around the room at everybody, just giving just kind of a strange, wide-eyed, what am I doing here look, as if I've suddenly found myself walking into one of those things where they give you a free 3-day vacation, but then you have to sit through a 2-day sales pitch.
So probably not an unwarranted feeling from this guy. So he kind of sits on the arm of his chair behind his desk. He doesn't sit like all the way in his chair. He's the kind of, you've already gotten the impression from this guy that he's the kind of guy who likes to talk on his feet and with his hands. He's a lawyer, So he says, well, your various people have contacted you about some work that I need done. And so they probably didn't give you a lot of details. And what I can tell you right now is I need some people to find a person. He's a missing witness that I need help finding to build a case. He's got some sensitive information on him that's of concern to a client of mine. And I'll also need that information, taken care of. The job is I'm offering 25... well, hold on. Let me do the math in my head. 12. Just to make it easy, I'm just going to say it's $2,500, 2,500 new yen each, but with the promise of more work in the future, because I happen to need stuff like this, all sorts of different things done, and need help doing it.
25's a good start, but look, we've just met. We need some assurances of what we're going to do is on the up and up, right? And it's going to benefit us as well as you. So,
on the up and up, I don't know exactly what you mean by on the up and up, but if it was entirely on the up and up, I wouldn't exactly, I'd be calling somebody else.
Oh, that's fair, but that doesn't mean we don't have our own rules we play by. Say about like maybe 2,700.
Once you roll negotiation.
5 bits.
All right, he says, well, I think we can do 2,700 each. Sounds good to me. Look, I probably need, I'm willing to go up a little bit for you guys, so that to show you that my good faith, so that maybe you'd be willing to work with me in the future.
Payday looks up at him at this point. So this witness just evaporated?
Well, so to speak, I guess. Let me tell you what's going on. See, my client, he's being accused of sort of the unfortunate murder of a man named Samuel Johnson. Maybe you've heard of the case in the news. It was in the news just this morning. I'll spare you the legal details about the defense strategy because, might be boring. But suffice to say that any evidence putting my client anywhere near the victim around the time of this murder would probably not bode well for the case. My client states that there's a young man who goes by the name of Poncho who could serve as a witness to put him somewhere else at the time of the murder. So we need to talk to this guy. He's a friend of my client's. We don't know where he is. Unfortunately, Poncho also happens to have some video on a comlink that could, it could contradict the witness testimony that we have planned.
Poncho got any friends?
My client's his friend.
I don't know if that's true, really.
Well, that's
Text to,
go ahead.
I text to Haley, again, actually pressing the buttons on my comm link. Just the word sketchy.
He says,
She agrees.
like I said, we can't find Poncho anywhere. I need y'all to locate him. Just, that's the big deal. And bring him to me, find out about this comm link, and destroy it. Don't want to see this supposed contradictory evidence. I don't care about it. All I know is, see no evil and all that. Just destroy it so nobody else can find it neither. I need it done by the end of the week, too.
And what about Poncho?
Poncho, like I said, we need him here. He's the witness. He's going to be the witness.
All right. Shouldn't be a problem, right?
Payday looks to Eon for nodding his head. We're in.
And Elric's kind of looking directly at Danny.
Yeah, man. We got this, right?
Shrugs and, okay, I guess
Bet.
so.
What about you, big guy? And she'll say that to Leroy.
He's going to look around at the bright, sparkling eyes of innocence amongst these people, except for maybe Pillar. Does Pillar carry herself like a criminal?
Oh, yeah.
There is no innocence left in Payday.
I guess I was just really overshadowed by the amount of innocence in the other two. So he'll give you a nod and then kind of point at you, and then like the other two, it's like, you're babysitting. No,
That won't be a problem.
then he'll go to Stan as if it is time to get to work.
There were several NPCs and organizations which were provided by patrons of Complex Action in this episode, and they were Marauder of the Diamondback Motorcycle Club. Both Marauder and this gang were provided by patron David Frederick. Scorch, one of Payday's contacts, the drone dealer, was provided by patron Eric DeMage. Killswitch, which was Leroy's mechanic contact, provided by James Wallis, a patron. And finally, the Dragons gang and the Dragons leader, Icefyre, were both provided by Robert McPherson, a patron of ours. So thank you guys very, very much. The background music in this episode is brought to you by Prism Shard. To hear more of his Shadowrun-inspired music, head on over to soundcloud.com/prism-shard and give him some love. The Topps Company Inc. has sole ownership of the names, logo, artwork, marks, photographs, sounds, audio, video, and or any proprietary material used in connection with the game Shadowrun. The Topps Company Inc. has granted permission to Complex Action to use such names, logos, artwork, marks, and or any proprietary materials for promotional and informational purposes on its websites, but does not endorse and is not affiliated with Complex Action in any official capacity whatsoever.